Hello and welcome to Super Respectable. My name is David Lewis, and in the green room is Toshio Rahman. Tosh, what is up?
What is up indeed? I'm good, Dave. How are you? How's life?
I am okay, surviving. It's just miserable. It's the most unseasonably awful spring, summer we've had since I've lived here.
Oh, so this is unusual.
Um,
This is not common for this time of year?
well, people say, "Oh, Dutch spring and summer is kind of miserable," but this is on another level of rain and misery. But on the flip side, it's made everything very tropical and lush. There's a lot of greenery outside, so it looks a bit like your backdrop over there.
Oh,
So
oh,
that's nice.
yeah. Well,
you're like, where am I?
that's not my drop. Um, yeah, I mean, we've been kind of similar too. Like this week was like it's on, off, on, off, on, off. But I mean, I like balance. I mean, too hot all the time is not great, and too cold all the time is not great. But for
I think
me,
Vancouver's a good place for that. It's
yeah.
it's like pretty consistent, right?
Yeah, I live next to the beach, as you know, and so when it's really hot, it's kind of annoying because too many people kind of come and park in our blocks and like walk through our
Mm,
lawns, and it's really noisy and like et cetera, which is I guess I know it's like a white person problem, like rich people
yeah.
problem, but I kind of like the balance because like for example, last Sunday or wherever my wife had her baby shower, a virtual baby shower, and then we wanted to do some photos but at the beach. But we thought like if we went on a Sunday in the sun in the middle of the day, there would be like us in like really nice clothes in the middle of the beach with like a million people who are just like kids with like suntan lotion on their face and like
Yeah.
topless fat guys and like so
Mm,
like yeah, but it's okay. We found another place which is really nice. So
that's good.
yeah. So yeah, I mean plus minus, right, of everything. So yeah.
You got all the peasants and riffraff out of the pictures, and
Yeah, I don't go to the beach unless I have
that
home
can be
base.
photo. Yeah, that can be photoshopped as well.
That can be
Uh,
photoshopped.
Very
Um,
nice. So,
yeah.
and it's all liberated out in Vancouver. Can you dine in restaurants
As
and
of yesterday,
places like that?
yes, you can.
I
Uh,
Yeah, I think I saw some photos on that
yeah,
Sunday.
yeah. As
So,
of the 20 whatever yesterday was, yes, you
wow.
can. Um, I've kind of gotten used to we've done a lot of takeout in the last couple of days. We were fasting up until like 10 days ago, so we didn't really
Hmm.
do it. But we did Pizza Hut a couple of days ago.
Wow.
But by the way, Pizza Hut pizza is like it tastes the same as it did 25 years ago. Like nothing's changed. That crust is still
The crust
manufactured
is
and
very
delicious.
shiny, and like they spray some stuff on it, from what
Yeah,
I know, to make it look like it's glistening, but it's really
yeah.
just some
Some
disgusting stuff.
chemical that eats at your arteries. Yeah.
Lost another sponsor.
Pizza. Let's just Pizza Hut. I actually a couple years ago I actually went to go pick up a pizza. This is before delivery existed. Like the Ubers and like the people. And I saw him spray that part of the crust, and I asked him like, "What are
Yeah,
you doing?" And he said like, "I don't, some teenager like
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know." And so then I said, "Can I see your can?" And so I read it, and it's all just chemicals and stuff. And I told the guy, "Listen, man, I need another pizza without you spraying this crap on it, right?" And he's like, "Okay," and he just made it because he doesn't care about it. So he made it, but I think they put that spray on not only for the shine, but it's like it's there to preserve it, right? And so when you get your pizza, that it looks like it's totally manufactured, 100%.
uh,
But just to let you know, going back I shouldn't have done it. I had McDonald's 3 days ago.
oh, so you've really been binging, huh?
It's really I have a reason. I have a personal reason, which I don't have to get into, but we've been trying to make life easier for us, just because we have a big milestone coming up, and
Hmm.
it was so good, Dave. I'm so
What did
sorry.
you have? Big Mac?
I had a filet o fish.
Oh no,
I had half my wife's filet o fish.
I've never met anybody who's had filet o fish in my life.
It's because we eat halal, and we McDonald's are not halal in Canada, so we have to go for the fish
Ah,
option, which is and it's so funny because we grew up that way. So even when I went to countries where they did have halal McDonald's, I would always gravitate towards filet o fish just because out of habit. And so
oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Wow.
you might have a couple. I think there's a couple of McDonald's out east, which are owned by like Muslim franchisees who have converted them, but most of them here are not. But it's not like a big deal. I don't eat McDonald's that often, like twice a year. But Dave, oh, so
Okay.
good. Those fries, man. We could just
Fries.
talk about those
It's crack,
freaking
crack
fries.
cocaine.
Yeah. But yeah, life's been good. It's good. I was gonna tell you since I know I kind of know your topic. Maybe I'll save it until the end. Maybe you'll touch upon it, then I can add the story. But I'll leave you to it because I have a related
Okay.
information which you might be interested in as well.
Okay. Well, on the subject of food, but on a slightly healthier, but it kind of depends topic. I'm
Okay.
going to talk about spice.
Oh, spices. Okay. Sort
How to
of
spice
related.
up your,
How to
yeah,
spice
sort of
up?
related, not really. Spice up your life.
Oh,
So I want to talk about. I think this is very relevant for our listeners in India. It's a culture, food culture that's quite spicy, as I've experienced on many occasions.
yeah.
So I'm going to talk about like what's happening to you when you consume spice,
Oh,
like what your body does, how they measure it,
wow.
like how they rank what's spicy and what's not spicy.
Oh, you're talking about
Uh,
like spice in terms of hotness,
there's
like
those,
not heat,
yeah, they have
like
they have a way to rank
spiciness.
the
Yeah.
spice level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forget what it's called.
The hottest chilies and the health benefits. And there's
Oh,
a few tips on how to mitigate the spice if you're a person like me who's not used to such
yeah.
quantities
Yeah.
of spice. But so how are you with spice? I imagine you grew up with a fairly spicy diet. Is that
That's racist, but
is it racist or is it
uh,
true?
it's semi true. Yes, I come from a spicy food background, I guess. I can manage spice and all levels, but personally, I don't like it. I actually like to go for more like milder tastes. I'm not a fan of like extra hot sauces and stuff, just because I find that sometimes it takes away from the actual taste of food. So, but when I'm with around more of my light melanin friends, like when
That's
I'm with,
racist.
it's a polite way to be racist. I find that they really try to do it, but their tolerances are pretty weak. But yeah, I mean, I like spicy foods once in a while, but it's not my preference. Like if you had to give me an option between do you want like spicy fried chicken or normal fried chicken, I'll go with normal fried chicken
Fried
personally.
chicken. Yeah, I guess I'm the same. I mean, I don't mind spice, but it's got to be at a level where I can still taste what I'm eating. And there's
Sometimes
some
it's just like,
spices where it just obliterates the meal,
yeah,
and you have no idea what's going on.
you know, they do this. Remember, do you remember back in college, they'd have those bars that would do like quarter wing nights or 10-cent wing nights or whatever it was. And then you choose what type of spices. I think you came with us a few times too. This is like 20 years ago. So, but people would, you remember there's what I'm trying to get, there were some places that would do like suicide wings, right? Like where
Yeah.
it's like, can you handle the most spiciest wings we can? And, no, I could not. Like even me, I don't think any human is supposed to eat that
No,
much.
you're not supposed to do that. So just to tell you a little bit about what's happening, you probably know a fair amount, but it's kind of something I learned in researching this for this podcast.
Yeah.
Spice isn't actually a taste. It can't
Okay.
really be considered like I taste spice. It's it's more of just a physical reaction that you're getting.
Okay. Yeah.
So when spicy food enters your mouth, the it's generally the capsaicin.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the chemical molecule of spice, which, when
In
I
the
say
food.
spice, I mean like the element from like a chili pepper.
You're right.
Um, and so it skips over the taste buds in your tongue and it latches onto the pain receptors
Yeah.
of your tongue.
Okay.
And then it sends signals to your brain
Then it's
of pain and heat. So your body responds to that. It's like, wow, I'm on fire.
yeah.
And it feels like you're burning. So your brain sends like uh, sweat. It makes your heart go a little bit faster. You produce more saliva, and depending on the spice levels, of course. But if it gets very spicy, you start sweating. You might start crying.
Yeah.
You might start snotting out your nose. Really gross stuff.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
your body's just like, get it out of me. It's trying
Get
to
it
flush it
out.
all out.
Huh. Interesting.
It's basically like the fire department in your brain. It's just like calling for it, and that's the response. The sprinklers are on. Like, get it out.
Oh, so does that mean again? I mean, we're not doctors or scientists. We don't know physically, but
No,
like in our so
nothing.
does that mean like our body naturally is not prone towards spice? Like it finds it as like a foreign substance to that it just needs to get out. Like it doesn't accept it.
Yeah, I suppose that substance that I referred to, which I need to find a better way of saying it.
Sure.
Capsaicin.
Capsaicins.
It's
Capsaicin.
it
Yeah.
is basically something your body is rejecting.
Yeah.
but in the right levels, everyone has their different tolerance levels. It's
Sure.
acceptable.
Yeah.
It
And you can
doesn't
build
actually
it.
damage.
Yeah.
It doesn't damage you. There's no, as far as I understand it, like negative health impacts to consuming that.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you enter a chili eating competition and have like 20 of the hottest chilies,
Of course.
it's like we said, everything in moderation. Don't do
Yeah.
that stupid stuff,
Yeah.
and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So the way that they measure the spice, do you know the name of the units?
Somethingville, right? Somethingville.
Yeah, you're getting there. It
Scoville?
says Scoville heat units.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was devised in the early 20th century by Mr. Scoville,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
And
Why not Mrs. Scoville, Dave? Why does it have to be Mr. Scoville?
well, they were still fighting for their rights back then. But it measures the amount of capsaicin in a pepper.
Oh.
And the measurements, so the Scoville heat units,
Yeah.
it's a number system, and it relates to how much dilution is needed to neutralize the heat.
Yeah.
He would add like a solution of like water, sugar, and something,
Yeah.
and he'd keep adding drops and then giving it to like a volunteer to be like, do you taste the spice? Do you taste the spice?
Interesting.
And then he would write like notes to be like, okay, that requires only 1,000 dilution units, which are the Scoville heat units. And so when you see the big number that says like you need to dilute the hell out of this stuff, in order not to taste the spice at all. So when you so I'll go through it. A bell pepper.
Yeah, like a basic
the regular run-of-the-mill pepper that a lot of people add to salads and food and whatever.
Yeah.
Zero.
No spice.
You don't taste any spice on that. It's just green water, red water, whatever color your pepper is. It's there's no spice.
Yeah. Hey, on a side note, there's green, red, yellow, orange, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Are the tastes the same? Because whenever I go to the grocery store, it seems that the greens are the ones that are like the majority of stuff. Like it seems like there's more green and they're cheaper than the other ones. No,
here it's red. Red is the common one. Yeah.
Huh. But there's different tastes for each one. I'm trying to think. I don't remember. Well, yeah, I think yellow and orange are like sweeter, aren't they?
Possibly a bit sweeter. Yes.
Huh.
We'll have to do a taste test later to figure that out.
Okay. Sorry.
But as we move through the Scoville heat unit system, it gets a bit out of control. So then you have jalapenos, which I assume you've had.
Yeah.
And those are between 2,500 and 8,000 Scoville heat units.
Yeah.
I can do those. I mean, they're okay, right? Then you have cayenne peppers.
Yeah.
Which I've generally only consumed through like the ground up dried spice version and added into like chilies.
Yeah.
Like
on pizza or whatever else.
Yeah. But it's pretty potent. So that's 30 to 50,000 Scoville heat units.
Yeah.
And then habanero. Do you know that one?
Yeah.
That's 100 to 300,000.
Wow.
So that's pretty off the charts.
Yeah.
And I think all of those are kind of natural chilies.
Yeah.
But what's happened is that when you start getting to like the hottest chilies in the world,
it
got a bit out of control. So the hottest chilies in the world only really emerged in the last 30 years. It's a new thing. So in the 90s, it started kind of like subculture of like chili agriculture geeks who wanted to like try and create the spiciest, hottest chili known to humankind.
So they're man-made.
It's human-made, Tosh.
Human-made. Oh, sorry.
It's a recent phenomenon, and it's super competitive. Like these people are vicious with each other, and they're always disputing. Like, no, my chili is spicier. The Guinness Book of Records is wrong, and
Oh wow.
So they're doing what's it called? They are crossbreeding chilies. That's the term.
Like plants.
So they're just experimenting, right, to try and like come up with the spiciest one.
Yeah.
And so the current record holder is do you know any of the names?
No.
The hottest chili in the world is called the Carolina Reaper.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You heard of that?
I heard the name. I'm assuming it's from North or South Carolina, right?
It's one of the Carolinas, yeah. I'm not sure whether it's North or South. And
East
it was,
Carolina. Let's say that.
yeah, it was created in 2013,
Yeah.
and I think it got its hottest pepper in the world accreditation by the Guinness Book of World Records
Yeah.
in 2017.
Yeah.
So very recent, right?
Yeah.
And it's Scoville heat units. Remember, I said habanero was 100 to 300,000. What do you
Yeah.
think this one is?
1 million.
Yeah, it's it says 2.2 million,
Oh,
but that's you're more correct because they said the average is around 1 million,
that's
and then they
crazy.
said 2.2 was like the hottest they ever recorded for this thing, which is just insane.
I'm assuming someone had to taste it, right?
I think okay, so there you can go onto YouTube, as with most things in life. You can go onto YouTube and type whatever you want, but you can type
Yeah.
in. There's all sorts of people online who have eaten one of these things so that they can get lots of views and watch you know, get our reaction to
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
eating this thing, and it's very traumatic. I
Yeah.
assume that they're eating it. They can't really prove it, but I think what Guinness does is they do like a lab thing where they, you know, they handle it and they do the Scoville thing, so it's really scientific or whatever. And I assume most people, when they're eating it, they're not getting like the 2.2 million one, but I imagine it doesn't make a difference to your body whether it's 1 million or 2 million.
Yeah.
It's just a pain, right?
Shut down.
So just to give a reference point for that, pure capsaicin
Yeah.
has a Scoville rating of 16 million Scoville units, and US grade pepper spray has a rating of 5.3 million.
Like this is stuff you
So
score in people's eyes and stuff like the cops use.
yeah, like what the cops use, and where you're like really
Blinded.
suffering and blinded. So yeah, that's pretty potent, right? It's 600 times hotter than a jalapeno, just for another little reference point.
Crazy.
It's just brutal. So to make it, he was crossbreeding an Asian chili pepper, I think from Pakistan,
Yeah.
and one from the Caribbean to produce this
Wow.
Carolina Reaper. So a lot of experimentation was involved, and I think it's an ongoing process. He has claimed, the guy who created it, Ed Curry.
Yeah.
What a name, Ed Curry. Come on.
That's life. Yeah.
That's called nominative determinism, where your name determines your
Occupation
life
or your life outcome.
Yeah. I only just clicked on that. That's crazy. Ed Curry.
Yeah.
So he says he's created a spicier chili, but it has not been validated yet.
But I feel like creating it and then actually having it, like the testing it, like doing the R&D versus putting it into market, are like, it needs to happen, because like I could sit in my basement and make the hottest thing in the world too, but if no one's tasted it, then like really what's the point of it, right? Don't you think so? Like, don't you think we have to put it into application a little bit? Whether Mr. Curry or one of his friends, some moron needs to put it in his mouth to see if it really
well he probably has. Yeah, I wonder if like it gets to a point where you're creating something dangerous, like the Food and Drug Administration in the US needs to like knock on his door and say, you know,
Listen,
sorry, or maybe like the drug what's it called, the drug agency in the US would have to knock on his door, because you're creating something that is like reaching like I said, US grade pepper spray. They're really reaching those levels.
Well,
so yeah.
So do you garden at all, or have you gardened, or any interest in gardening?
Like this time last year when the weather was better, I throw some plants out onto the balcony.
Yeah.
And we got some plants in here, but I wouldn't call myself a gardener. No.
Because basic chilies and basic peppers are super easy to grow naturally. You just go to like your local gardening store, and I'm not a gardener, but I think I did peppers once, and you just put them in the soil and you just like forget about it, and then like it'll go. So I don't think the actual agriculture behind it is super complicated, but I mean, crossbreeding and all that, that's a different game I'm not really familiar with. But I definitely think like whatever it is that's being grown needs to be tested as well. Like it's like saying like, oh, I grow the best strawberries, but like let's taste the strawberries to see if they're the best strawberries, you know. But I know this one is dangerous because like the strawberries could kill you.
But the thing is, like I said, there's a whole subculture, and there's all these competitions around the world, mostly in the US, as far as I know,
It's always
where
Americans, huh?
exactly they have these eating
Yeah.
competitions, and whenever someone comes up with the spiciest one, they're all over it. They want to do it, and it's, I guess, partly a testosterone-driven
Yeah.
thing of dudes who want to show off their, their credentials in front of the ladies.
So, can you imagine how attractive a guy is eating spicy food in front of a lady?
Well,
Like
if you, I
sweat
actually watched one of the videos, and it's not attractive at all.
at all.
They usually end up vomiting or having snot everywhere and looking really disgusting.
Yeah.
So I would recommend our listeners to check out a few of those videos, but don't watch too many. It's not pleasant.
They have a famous one where they have what's it called? Hot wings or something where there's this guy in New
Yes.
York. Yeah, he interviews.
Yeah, I've seen that where they
Yeah.
get celebrities to
But
have
they
it.
eat chicken
I
wings.
haven't checked on the Scoville units because I think he lets them know the Scoville.
Yeah.
Like he starts off slow, they move up to
As they
the
ask
hotter
like,
ones at the very end.
questions. Yeah.
That's a great concept.
Yeah, it's really easy and it's fun, and it's usually the white celebrities who start like tapping out midway through because they can't do it anymore. Then you get people who are like more like whether they're black or more ethnic and stuff, they can go for because they grew up culturally with more spice in their foods and stuff. But one thing I learned growing up, and I don't know if this is true, but I think that like sometimes spicy food helps your system if you're sick or if you're like congested or if you have a fever or whatnot. It helps kind of drive all that stuff out, which I found to be pretty accurate. It's not like when I'm sick I need to eat spicy foods, but I found that sometimes when I have like my nose is a little congested or maybe I have a little bit of a fever starting, putting a little bit of spice kind of helps along the healing process. I don't know if you found the same or not, but
yes,
yeah,
that's very good lead into my next segment on health benefits.
Health benefits of spice.
So there's various claims, and you have to be careful what you're Googling and always check your sources. And there's always a study to prove whatever your point you're trying to make is on the internet, as we all know.
Yeah.
But here are some of the benefits of consuming spicy foods. So one of them that I like is that it improves your mood. So it gives you a bit of like it releases endorphins.
Does it really?
Which is part of like the thrill-seeking aspect of these eating competitions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar to a roller coaster where it's like some people just are like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
and then you get a rush from doing it. You're like, wow, that was great. Let's do it again. But it's something that's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So having all of those sensations happen when you have spicy food, it releases like endorphins, and that improves your mood. That's good.
Have you found that to be true in your case of eating spicy foods? Endorphin releases.
I'll have to do another test. I haven't really pushed the limits lately.
I think whether you're eating dinner just like, and then there's a little bit of sriracha on the side versus being in an all you can eat like hot dog eating competition or whatever it is with spiciness, it's two different things. Because I get the endorphins when you're competing for something, because that's natural for any sport, right? But just sitting there like with mom and dad and putting some wasabi on your sushi, I don't know if that releases endorphins.
So you're saying it's not correlation causation. It's just it's the competition aspect which makes the
and on a side note, well, that's just, I'm not a scientist, I'm just my opinion, but like when I was in my teens and even my 20s, we would do all you can eat sushi, which was a thing that we did here in Vancouver because you're young, you're a male. It doesn't have to be male, but you're super hungry all the time. We would eat a lot. Now I would never go to buffets and all you can eat because I think it's the grossest thing in the world because I'm stuffing myself with food. But I don't know what your experience was with eating as much as you can or being in competition. I've never been in a food.
No, I haven't. No, never.
Never. I've watched like the hot dog eating one on YouTube and stuff, which is gross. But
the winner of that is this skinny Japanese dude. He's like 120 pounds. He's competing against these fat Americans.
I saw this documentary on the guy. I forgot his name, and they showed him how he trained. And like, it's so gross, Dave. Like, it's just like, I understand he's skinny. He works out a lot. Like he
trains for it. Yeah,
trains. But all you're doing is just like opening your stomach and just putting food in. He's not even chewing, and then your stomach's got to be like giving you a hard time. Like, it's not like, oh, you're okay now. Something's got to be damaged in there. Like, our body wasn't built for that, right?
I think it's safe to say that no. I mean, there was that guy, another American show, Adam something. He would go around the U.S. to
man versus food.
Right?
Oh, so gross.
And he would go and just like try these food challenges around America. I think he had to stop because he's like, I'm gonna die if I keep doing this. and he like started working out and got healthy. So yeah, that's not something you should be doing long term to yourself.
Well, like I think sorry, before I know we digress a little bit, but I think food culture in America and North America versus the world is completely different. I think outside of Canada and America, I found that people really enjoy quality of food as opposed to quantity, and even if it's smaller, but it's like not gluttonous. Whereas here, it's just about like size and portion. So like when you say
Oh
men versus
yeah,
food, it's always like how much, like this is the world's biggest burger, and if you eat it, you get it for free. Or if it's like if you
yeah.
eat enough wings, blah blah blah, or fries, it's never like, oh, look at this small little like 5-star Michelin dish and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
most people they would make fun of it and say like, "Oh, I'm still hungry at the end
Yeah,
of
I'm
this
still
meal.
hungry.
Oh, didn't
Oh,
get good value."
yeah.
I definitely remember when I went to Las Vegas that one time that we won't really go into detail about, but we
Yeah.
uh, Andrew and
Sorry.
I went to a buffet, and it was quite a fancy buffet place because Vegas has all sorts of things to keep you inside and
Yeah.
spending money. But it was I have this tattooed in my brain, just like the food they had like an entire crab
Mountains.
on their plate. It was just falling off,
Yeah.
and the people were gigantic.
Yeah.
And I thought this is just like they say the seven deadly sins. This is just an
Funny.
example of
Yeah.
like what they meant.
And it's like
Um,
and if you think about it, I was thinking, like, Las Vegas is landlocked, right? No water nearby, so there must be trucks or planes bringing in like king crab leg like daily to
it's just
these.
such an unnatural place. Everything about it is just not normal.
But on a very very side note, before I let you, have you seen? There's a new movie out called Army of the Dead. It's actually a very
No,
interesting
no.
concept. No, it's really cool. It's like if you like zombie movies and heist movies, they put them together. It's about zombies taking
Okay.
over Las Vegas, but there's still money in there, and a group of people going to take a heist. It's a very cool concept. It's just about blowing zombies up and winning money. It's on Netflix. It's fun. It's if you have 2.5 hours of your time. But
Yeah, I think it'd be a hard sell with Federica, but we'll see. We'll see.
anyways, sorry, because of health benefits. So the first one you told me,
So that was good. It can increase your life expectancy if you consume
really?
it at least once per week.
Huh? I did not know
I
that.
think I think they say it with most things. They say if you have wine, if you
Wine.
have like a chocolate, and so everyone's like, drink wine, eat all the chocolate. So
Put
don't,
sriracha on your chocolate
yeah,
while drinking
don't
wine.
take it too far.
Yeah.
Just everything in moderation.
I think
Um,
probably gives your body a little bit of a jump start every once in a while, just like a little shock to maybe that leads to the life expectancy. Just keep things in balance, not because
but
your
if,
body hates stagnated, it's being stagnant, right? It likes to change and adapt to new things, right?
but like if you think about what when you have really spicy food, what it does to you, it's a bit like going to a sauna and like the health
Yeah,
benefits of that. It sort of cleanses you.
I don't like it.
So yeah, they when they say you go to a sauna, it's like getting rid of all the toxins. So that mumbo jumbo can still apply with eating spicy foods. Um,
Do you sauna? Do you steam room sauna? Do you do any of that stuff, or do you like it?
I did. It's quite a thing here and in Budapest where I was before.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. It was
yeah.
very cool.
I like to do it
Uh,
solo. I don't like when other dudes are there or anything like that. Like when other people sitting around, like if you have your own little steam room and and then you're the only one in there. Maybe there's another dude, but I don't like a bunch of naked guys sitting around and then like it's all sweat and grossness.
yeah, there's some. I think definitely with COVID, it's not
For sure.
happening, but it's definitely some hygiene issues in some of these places. So no thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits. I definitely will accept your premise that there's like the like it kind of cleans out the system and it's similar to steam rooms and saunas. I mean, it's not the most gross feeling, but you feel good afterwards, right? You feel like something's released from your body, like out through sweat.
Yeah, and the other thing is it acts as an appetite suppressant.
Really?
Um, so you feel fuller, and
Oh,
maybe like the burning sensation, you're distracted from your hunger or something.
you're just like,
You're
make it stop. I don't want to eat anymore.
make it stop. Exactly. It reduces inflammation,
I think I heard that. Yeah.
increases blood circulation, and lowers blood pressure.
Oh,
So people often think, oh, it's really bad for you because it's making you do all these crazy unnatural things.
yeah.
The limited sources I read and research for this podcast say,
Yeah.
you have nothing to worry about unless you're like I said, in a competition doing,
But you're talking about
20 Grim
moderate,
Reapers.
normal levels of spice, right? You're not talking about like the Carolina Reaper, are you?
Well, I think even if you have that,
Yeah.
you should be okay. But it's like I've seen videos where they had like 12 Carolina
That's
Reapers and they're
stupid.
like on the floor and they're dreaming and they're delirious and
Like that
um,
episode of The Simpsons. Do you remember? Homer
yeah,
meets
yeah,
and he's just hallucinated the entire episode. Huh.
yeah. I think that's where the Simpsons started to go off the rails a little bit. Just
Yeah.
as a side note.
Yeah, Episode season 27 or something like that
Yeah,
happened. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, something is going wrong here. There's a whole bunch of other ones, but it's the whole. It's actually. Oh yeah, another one. Good for your stomach.
Really?
So
Like
so people
digestion?
think like, oh, it's burning. Oh, I'm gonna like have to use the facilities. Again, in moderation. Like if you have like a jalapeno, which is like spicy but not like dangerously spicy,
Yeah.
it's good. It's because of the increased blood flow. It increases circulation and it gets things moving.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You don't want stagnation, which
Yeah.
like after having McDonald's,
Yeah.
that things stop moving in there. So have some jalapenos and just kickstart the whole situation.
Huh. I mean, it's so strange you talk about it in this way because like we kind of grew up with spicy food just like it was like a spice is just as like it was normal, right? Like my parents, they eat like in our culture's dish, you usually have a chili on your plate and so you can just eat it while you're eating something else,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, I mean people like that extra kick and so some people can't do it and then other I came from like I lived in Asia, I was born in Japan and stuff, so sometimes we would have it kind of sprinkled into dishes as well, like little chili, not too much. And I think when I grew up here, it was more like sauces, right? Like sriracha sauce and like hot sauce and Tabasco sauce, etc., etc. And then when I went to college, it was the hot wings, right? Like how high can you go? And like our friend Jamie Lynch, who was on here a couple episodes back, I remember him and I went to a bar and we had all you can eat wings or whatever 10-cent wings, and we got one of the spiciest ones, and I only had two, and I remember that night very vividly, and it was like a fire in my stomach, Dave. Like it wasn't toilet or anything like that. It wasn't gross, but like I couldn't sleep just because I felt like this, like when you have like a rumbling and like it's like a literal fire in your stomach.
It's processing. Yeah.
So like I hate that feeling. I don't do this stuff anymore because like I don't like being discomforted. But I'll definitely add a little bit of spice in my food. Like, it's optional, but it's nice. But I prefer the sweet and savory flavors as opposed to spicy and hot.
I'll tell you a little story about me experiencing spice. I probably
Yeah.
told you before, but for the benefit of our listeners,
Yeah.
this was in London, probably 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was meeting some other Canadians,
Yeah.
and we went to a Eritrean restaurant. Have you ever had Eritrean Ethiopian food?
I bet Ethiopian food. Yeah. The
I think it's
breads.
the same, but I don't want to be make any mistakes there. But it's very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the injera bread, and then you take it, and there's all sorts of different little spices and dishes around that you kind of pick up and eat like this,
Yeah.
right? And it was fine. It was at like a level of spice which I found really nice.
Yeah.
But this particular place had, well, I discovered it was like a minefield. I took one and I bit into it, and it's like I detonated a spice bomb. Like I bit into a chili. You know, when you bite into a chili, it's really, really bad. So I did that, and it was this level of spice I've never experienced before. I lost my hearing.
Yeah.
I heard like the that oh sound.
Like yeah.
Someone was speaking to me and I couldn't really hear them because I was like, oh, like what's going on?
Yeah.
And it was really embarrassing because I just met these people.
Yeah.
And I wanted to freak out because it was like a huge fire inside my body.
Yeah.
So I went to the bathroom and I just like composed myself in there.
Yeah.
Then I came back and I was confused. Like, there's like 20 other Canadians and none of them are having the same thing.
Yeah.
And then just like as soon as I sat down, my friend who invited me there had the same thing. He bit on this thing.
Yeah.
But because he knew everybody there, he freaked out publicly, and
he wasn't as
staff
composed.
Yeah. I sort of composed myself and left, and
good
then
boy.
Good boy. And the restaurant came out. There was like the fire brigade. They came out with like yogurt and milk, and they were just like, here, eat this.
Yeah.
And that sort of handled the situation pretty well.
Were you not supposed to eat the pepper? Was it there for like its flavor, or like you weren't supposed to?
I don't know what it was, because I was like, when I was eating the food after I was scarred, I was like trying to go through it with my
Yeah.
hands to see
Yeah.
what's going on, but I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
But this brings me to my last little blurb on how to deal with spices
Yeah.
if you're not well conditioned to doing
Okay.
such things.
Yeah.
So good news for people like me, it's possible to train yourself.
Okay.
It is possible.
Yeah.
So that's very encouraging.
Yeah.
I would encourage people to consult the Scoville unit chart and see what peppers are listed on, from low to high,
Yeah.
and just start working your way up.
Okay. Sure.
Obviously, like
Disclaimer. Okay. Yeah.
No, but skip the bell pepper one because that doesn't do anything. But like
Yeah.
start going to some numbers, and in small quantities, but consume it. And then once you're good with that, go on to the next one.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then this actually works. Like it's proven, you can desensitize your tongue's receptors over time.
Oh, cool.
And so this brings me to the point of people like you,
Yeah.
who've grown up with it. So there doesn't appear to be any genetic factors involved. So
It's
that's
probably, yeah, I agree. It's probably just cultural, just because we had it from a young age. Yeah.
So it's very much that. It says people from places with spicy cuisines like India and Thailand, Mexico, they've grown up with it more or less.
Yeah.
And so they've become conditioned and accustomed to the taste.
Yeah.
As well as they've kind of desensitized their tongue's receptors, so it doesn't really send those signals as much to the brain. It says the neurotransmitter that is responsible for sending pain signals to the brain becomes depleted. If you're really doing it. So if you really push it, just kill it. Although I think there are limits. Like if you do go to the Carolina Reaper, then it'll come back to life.
Yeah, that's not within range.
And then so to mitigate while you're training and you're dealing with some spicy levels, the best thing to do is not have water.
Yeah.
Water is actually bad.
Yeah, it spreads it or something, right?
It spreads it, exactly. Yeah. See, you know all the facts. It actually spreads the spice around your mouth and makes it worse.
So what are you supposed to do? What's the right treatment?
So that Eritrean restaurant was right. You should be having milk or dairy products.
Oh.
And it can't be soy or oat or almond milk. It has to be from
new age hipster dairy crap. Yeah.
Because apparently it's the casein or something within the dairy product, which is needed because it actively goes after the spice compound.
Oh, okay.
And removes it. So it dislodges it, and that helps. So milk is the best thing. And it says if you can't drink milk due to various other reasons, you can try something acidic like lemonade or I don't know, vinegar or something really
ginger
brutal
ale or something.
Because that also helps to neutralize the spice levels.
Is there any truth to the fact of eating bread? That's something I've heard as well, or taking a bite into bread.
So the next one is carbs. Carbs are good.
Any carb?
So rice, bread, any kind of carb, but it doesn't really have the same sort of scientific thing that dairy does.
Okay.
It just acts as a barrier. It doesn't hit the receptors because you've mixed it in with bread, and so sometimes the bread hits your tongue instead of the spice. So you still get the spice, but it doesn't hit in the same potency as having it full on.
Understand.
So the main function of the carbs is just to dilute it a little bit and spread it around. So rice and bread, that's why I think it's quite common to have those with your spicy foods. So those are the things you should be doing if you want to be training yourself to consume some spicy foods. I have to say, I think I've gotten better. But when I went to India, it was on another level of spice.
Because they do in those parts of the world, not only is it spicy foods, but it's also creamy foods, right? And a lot of other spices which are not Scoville level spices, but you have your this spice and that spice. So it's a lot on the body, because especially I understand 100% because when we came here in North America and Europe as well, foods are very simple when it comes to taste. It's not very combination. A burger is just a burger with salt and pepper, you know what I mean? But other places they put in 3 different spices and then they put cardamom, so it's really hard on someone's stomach when they don't understand. And I personally it's delicious, but it's not my preference to go to it. But when you add that extra layer of just kind of like just like hot heatness in terms of spice, it's difficult to comprehend sometimes. Like it really is just a survival mechanism to like game just to get through your meal, right?
Yeah, it's kind of fun watching, like, 'cause my dad is a big fan of Indian curries,
Yeah,
and um, growing up, we'd have Indian takeaways quite frequently, and it was delicious. I love the food,
yeah.
and he was always saying, "I'll have your spiciest one, but please make it spicier."
Oh
And I
wow.
couldn't. And I think he managed to train himself pretty well, but he still definitely was sweating and had reactions
Yeah.
to it. But he didn't care. He loved it.
What are some other countries around the world that use really spicy foods? Or like in their
I think,
cuisines?
like, for sure, like I said before, Thailand.
Yeah. Like
There's some
that's
Thai dishes which are pretty, like, approachable, but there are
yeah.
some, like these red curries, green curries, are
Yeah.
brutal.
They have one in Thailand where they mix like it's like a salad and it's got spiciness in it. It's like mango,
Yeah.
chili.
Mm,
I didn't personally. I found that the flavors were a little difficult for me. But
mm.
like, yeah, like the pad thai, of course, is delicious and etc. etc. But I've had there's parts of China that use a lot of spicy foods, especially the
Yeah,
northern China. And they and it like it's hard. Like it's
I had that with our other guest, Marcus.
yeah,
He very kindly took me out to dinner when I was in Hong Kong, and we had Szechuan
yeah,
food,
Sichuan.
I believe it
Yeah,
was,
and they have like the
and
peppercorns.
and uh, and when the dish came, I had to, like, pry it apart because all I could see were the chilies. It was just red
Yeah.
chilies, and that was it was
Yeah,
actually delicious, but it was potent.
yeah. The Szechuan, they also do the peppercorns where like you eat the it's like peppers and they'll pop in. It's sort of like they when they hit your tongue, there's this like numbness to your tongue, and
Mm,
so like yeah. I when I was young, like Japanese people do wasabi in their sushi, right, which is very
yeah,
spicy. If you eat too much of it, you get the brain. I don't know what you call it, but it's like a brain freeze, but like it's like a brain spice, and then you're just
but
like
apparently, so I read it, like, the run of the mill, like, sushi buffets, the
yeah,
wasabi you're getting,
it's like
it's
powdered
not.
or crap.
It's just some, like, made up thing that looks like it, but it's not
Yeah.
actually the real stuff.
Yeah. It's yeah, I mean yeah, that's it's probably cheaper, probably. Like that's why, but if you
Yeah.
get like really good wasabi, like it's nice. I remember one time we had this like we used to do like homestays at our house a long, long time ago, or like someone like rent the basement and they come up and eat with us. And this one girl, she was like, "Oh, what's this?" And she was like Chinese or something like that. And I was so mean. I said, "Oh, it's just like some sweet like sauce and stuff." And so she took like a bite of it, like a
Gosh.
bunch of it. And it was wasabi. Horrible,
Yeah.
horrible.
You're a bad man. You're a bad man.
I think Latin American cultures and Mexican cultures probably use a lot of spice because they use a lot of peppers in their foods and stuff, don't they? Like Mexico,
Uh, I think I don't think it's true for all of South
Latin,
and Central
South America.
America.
Yeah,
Because I've never been there.
yeah,
I know for sure Mexican is spicy. That's true. But I've had Peruvian food. I've had Argentinian and Brazilian. They're
not too
they're
much.
pretty okay.
Okay,
Nothing really too crazy. And in terms of European foods,
yeah,
where in Europe I mean, Spain? Spain
maybe,
has some spicy ones, and
yeah,
then the UK, but only on the back of the spices that they brought in.
yeah. That's very polite. I know in North Africa they have spices, and it's usually like it's not in the foods. It'll probably be on the side as like as a sauce as a condiment kind of. And
Yeah.
my wife has one which is really it's really nice and it gives a little flavor. So yeah, I like when the spicing can be optional or on the side, not like in the food. So you
Where you
can
can control it.
control
Yeah.
it. Like do you guys have Nando's
Yeah.
in the Netherlands? So like Nando's, for example, I think it's weird. It's actually we should do an entire episode on Nando's. I find it so fascinating. It's like African Portuguese food or something, like some combination of two countries.
It's from South Africa, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's something. I guess it's due to colonialism or something that the two cultures came together. Because whenever I go into a Nando's, if you look around the walls, it's all like African art, but then the food is all like Portuguese or something like that. So I think there's some history
Mm.
there. But anyways, they're famous for their chicken, and then you can add the spices. And like I usually never go towards the spice. I go for like mango and lime or something because I just want to enjoy my food at this point. I don't really want to
Mm-hmm.
be like, but but yeah, like I think spicy food is good. It's yeah, it's there, but it's not my main. I don't. It's not my go-to. Like I don't know if you like sauces generally, like when in foods, but usually tend to go towards like a ketchup or like
Oh,
a
really?
or
Oh,
like a
Tosh.
I know like like an aioli or like a garlic thing. Sometimes a little bit of Tabasco or sriracha is okay, but it's not like like it's not
No, I mean, I do like making
sauces.
Indian foods and
Oh,
Asian foods in
hmm
general, and I have to say I do like putting in a little bit of spice. But again, like I said, never so much. I haven't really pushed the limits when I cook for myself. I won't try and like make it painfully spicy.
like
Um,
I find the feeling of being sick because of food to be one of the worst in the world. So, like, on my list of food related sicknesses, food poisoning is the worst feeling ever. And
no,
every time it happens to me, I know when it happens to me because I can feel it, and it's the worst. And I can try to stop it before it really gets worse. But getting to the point of eating spicy foods and then it really hurting your mouth and your tongue and your stomach, and then having to go to the washroom, it's really discomforting. And like, I just don't like going through that. I don't like at this point in my life, I don't want to know what my body will react. I don't want to experiment anymore.
yeah.
I'm
And
good.
then one other disclaimer: if anybody is at home hoping to try out the Carolina Reaper,
Yeah. Can you get
definitely
them?
you should use gloves.
Yeah.
I've seen people use
Oh yeah.
goggles because, like, if you get this in your eye or any of your other body parts,
Yeah.
you might need to go to the hospital.
Can you get them? Like Carolina Reapers public?
Yeah,
Like
so
you order
it's
them or
interesting. So we went to Cyprus a few years ago, and we went to go visit a friend's place there,
yeah.
and the person's partner was growing their own chilies and doing the similar thing, and
Okay.
he said that you can just order online
No way.
and grow
Really?
your own. And like you said, it's pretty easy. They're pretty easy to grow.
Yeah, but you got to be
The challenge is
careful.
like don't have your kid going around grabbing it and doing that
Yeah.
stuff. But you can definitely do it. There's nothing illegal about it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a matter of whether you want to torture your friends with that sort of stuff. And
So something I learned, something I learned a couple years ago was that if you touch something that's really spicy, of course, don't touch your eye or wherever it is. But sometimes you can touch it, and even your skin starts to burn a little bit, like because of the spicy.
yeah,
Do you know what to do in that situation?
pour yogurt on it.
You can do yogurt or you can do toothpaste as well. Put a little like a layer of toothpaste for a little bit, and
Oh,
it'll cool.
really?
I think yogurt and toothpaste have a property in them that cools the skin down. And of course, if it gets in your eye, like just wash, right? Like you got to get it out of your system. But like that's what I think is that, like, food shouldn't be like that. Like food shouldn't be
Yeah, yeah.
burning through your skin. You know what I mean? Like a bag of chips isn't gonna kill you, like kill your skin. So like it's gonna kill your insides, but not your skin. So I don't know, man. Like I try to stay away from it at all. But here's a question for you: do you think you could die from any level of spice?
So I looked into that, and there have been a few people who
Spice-induced deaths?
have died, but I think it's only like at these eating competitions.
Yeah.
And one of them was apparently I'm forgetting the term, but it's like thunderclap headache, where
Okay.
like it's created like your brain didn't know how to handle it, and it
Yeah.
like they had an aneurysm or something like that,
Yeah.
and then they later died. And then there was another one. I'm not sure. I think someone like maybe had a heart attack or something. But again, this is like after having like 7, 8, 9, 15 of the spiciest chilies in the world. So
Yeah.
this is people like abusing their bodies.
Yeah.
Um, so the health benefits that I mentioned earlier, those should all be there, and there shouldn't be any real damage. In fact, it's very good for you to consume chilies as long as you're not a lunatic going to these competitions
Do you,
and doing these things to yourself.
do you think that one day chili growing and like chili tasting and chili this will be like wine, like
It
wines and
is.
stuff?
It
Is it?
absolutely is.
People have like
100%.
their own
So
wine cellars
it's
and
this.
chili cellars.
It's a whole subculture, and
Yeah.
they're called chili heads. These people, and it's a subculture. So if you want to go down that Google rabbit hole, it's all there.
I don't.
So people are giving tasting notes, and these are people who've, I think, like once they've passed that threshold of pain, they can start
Yeah.
tasting a bit more of the characteristics of
Yeah.
these chilies.
Yeah.
And then they start writing like tasting notes for like the
reviews.
the Carolina Reaper or whatever.
Yeah. The Grim Reaper should be the one that kills you pretty much.
There probably is. They have all sorts of here, let me just to end off
like
with
the names.
hottest. The names are great. Oh man. The Ghost Pepper, Naga
Ooh.
Viper, Infinity Chili. I don't know. They're all great names. So,
That's awesome. It sounds. I'm. It's not really my thing in life, so I wish the community the best. But it sounds like an interesting thing for sure. Like, I'm. Like I like food, but like I'm not like obsessed with it or anything like that. So, it's not for me. I don't know if this is something you would want to take on in life, and grow your own chilies and stuff. But
maybe.
do you think? I'm assuming chilies probably don't need a lot of sunlight. Yeah, I'm trying to remember when we grew them. We just kind of left them. It's kind of like an herb. It just happened.
From what I read, it's a pretty foolproof thing to do, but we'll see how I can screw that up.
Like looking back on like your dishes that because you guys cook a lot. Do you use a lot of chilies or spice in some of your foods, like when you have the option to, or you try to stay?
Yeah, I do, but like I said, I don't go crazy, and I'll mix it up. It's not like chilies. I don't go out of my way for chilies, but I'll put in like ginger, turmeric, garlic, the whole mix of stuff like that. Is what I'll go for. Not like specifically habanero chilies and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. My final question, and then we'll call it. Is what food, in your opinion, or what like category of food do you think works best with spices? You know what I mean? Is like when we add it as a sauce, and you can put anything in the sauce, but like what food? Like you could put an apple in chili sauce, but that's gross. But like what food do you think works well with sauce or chili flavors? Like for me, I think fried foods, like fried chickens or chicken wings.
Oh, really?
Or stuff like that work. Like you can make it into like I think that relationship works personally. Whereas like the culture we came from, it's just it's a condiment, right? So you can put it on anything, which I think is like lazy.
No, I'm all about the Indian food. I mean,
Okay.
I just like it like that. I don't particularly like it if it's what I like about spicy foods is the mix of flavors, which I'm not used to in my day-to-day, meals that I normally have.
Yeah.
So I don't like the idea of if we're having steak for dinner, some people like put spice on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're ruining a very nice piece of meat. But if you have
salt and pepper, that's all I put on my steak.
Salt and pepper on it.
Not even pepper sometimes, just salt. But like, yeah.
But if you have like an Indian curry or whatnot, or Thai dish, then the whole diversity of ingredients that you put on it is the thing. So I really don't care whether it's chicken or beef or vegetables, as long as there's that like little kick you get from having that thing. I like it.
There you go. Well,
there you go.
Dave. It's a great episode. I actually, that's I haven't had breakfast yet, and I'm just thinking about like where
how to spice up your porridge.
Yeah, that's gross. That might be cool. But
spice up your life.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks to our listeners, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.